Today's lab asks the question, does A equal to G times sine of theta? Now this is our setup. We have a crash cart with a mass that has the same mass as the cart. A track that's going to behave as an inclined plane. Two rods to help us actually support and elevate and decline the track. An acceleration sensor, and something to help us gauge the angle of our track. We also have the standard stand. Now this is our data acquisition system right here. Now, give me a moment and I'm going to construct this and show you how it looks. This is the experiment as it looks when set up properly. Instead of using an attached piece on here to the track to hold it in place, what we've done is to instead take and use a crossbar and a mass at the end to keep the track from sliding as the cart goes down. As per the lab instructions, I have used a meter stick to set the height of the track here to be 20 centimeters. You can use an angle indicator to read the angle that would be the same as here, or you can measure the base of the track up to a point, treat it as though it's the hypotenuse and the adjacent side to a right triangle, and find the angle that way yourself. Either way is okay. This is the cart with the acceleration sensor attached and the data acquisition unit. Now, this type of sensor is called an analog sensor. There are two types of sensors, digital and analog. It's all about the way that they collect the data. And again, we have our cart mass right here, which again has the same mass as the cart. Now, to perform the experiment, you'll need to place at the 60 centimeter mark a mark that's your release point for the cart. You'll take the cart, rotate it in such a way that the cable does not interfere with its rolling. Place it at 60 centimeters and then release. This will be done a total of 5 times at different heights. The lowest height, if I remember correctly, being somewhere around 4 centimeters. Now, once that's done, we raise the track up to 20 centimeters again, and then add the cart mass to it to see how it affects the acceleration. Releasing once again, and then collecting the data through the computer.
Hello, and welcome to the theory section for lab number 2. Lab 2 asks the question, does A equal to G times sine of theta? Now, for those of you that have been watching the course video, lab 2 looks a lot like one of the example problems that I worked. The idea here is that you have a cart that sits on an inclined plane of some sort. So, let me draw an inclined plane, like such. Here's the y-axis, the x-axis, and this is the angle by which the plane has been inclined. Now, your cart is being released from approximately the 60 centimeter mark. The question is, when you look at the data, does A in fact equal to G times sine of theta? Now let's talk more about where this comes from. If you remember the example problem that I worked, working this particular problem in a coordinate system that looks like this is difficult. So, if you were to, for example, think of using this coordinate system instead, where this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. Thinking about the direction that acceleration sits, at least the acceleration due to gravity, let me fix that arrow. There we go. Thinking about the direction of up and down from the plane of the actual inclined plane here. And let me actually extend this down a little bit more. If I were to rotate like this, my coordinate system, then I can use the y-axis here and the x-axis here. And what I do is I turn what would be a complicated two-dimensional problem, working it like this, into a one-dimensional problem that's pretty easy to do. The hard part here is determining exactly how theta relates to this new position. Well, it turns out, and if you look at the example, you'll see the angle theta here is the same thing as the angle between y and x. Now, that said, if you redraw the picture using this as up from the track and this is along the track, so here's your track right here. And we'll put us a little cart here. Whoops. So here's our cart. I'll place it at the center of the coordinate system like this. There we go. Then, if you think about the direction, actually, let me move this again. There we go. I'm not happy with that. Let's put it right here. There we go. If you think about the direction that the acceleration due to gravity points, now this is theta, and we can see that it's the part of gravity, the part of the acceleration due to gravity here that that makes it go down the incline. Okay. Now that said, this right here, this part that makes it go down, if you think of opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse in terms of trig functions, would be the opposite side. So here, this we'll call AX. AX would equal to sine of theta times g, because g would be the hypotenuse right here, would be the length of the acceleration. So mathematically, as we can see, A equals to g times sine of theta. The question is does it bear out experimentally, which is the purpose behind the lab.